Welcome back to the leather sheath, part 2. I've just added the contact cement to the inner suede liner and the inside of the back of the sheath. Now I'm going to wait probably around 10-15 minutes for that to set. You have to cover the entire parts that you're gluing so you get a good fit. And then I'll probably lay a brick on there to make sure it sets up good. So when I get that together, I will let it dry and then we'll put the belt clip on. So it's been about 10-11 minutes and I've got that in place. So now what I'll do is I will find my brick. Where is my brick? I'll be right back. Now she's out drying in the sun and it shouldn't take too long. Okay, so the main back and suede is glued, and you can see here I've kind of traced out a little spot, so when I glue this on, this part, sorry, I don't go overboard with the glue. And then when this part up here is glued and dried, then I'll go ahead and mark the stitching, mark the holes for the stitching, and then drill through and get it stitched. So let me get that glue on there and I'll bring you back. Glue is ready. And now it's in place with, excuse me, I have a candy in my mouth. Some clamps on it, so we'll put her back in the sun to dry. And then we'll get ready to mark the stitching. I did mark for the holes, but you really can't see it that great on this rough leather. Basically all I did was, I'm always out of frame when I use one hand. I mark them with a fork. And I went all the way around in a square for the stitching, but when I get the holes drilled, you'll be able to see it a lot better. As far as using a fork, they do work really good. If you're using veg tan, it works a lot better than the scrap leather. But you can actually take and file the tines down, which I haven't done, and it marks a lot clearer. But let me get the holes drilled, and then I'll show you that, and then we'll get her stitched, and then we'll bring this part down, get that glued into place, and we'll stitch that, and then the back belt loop will be done. So the holes are drilled. That's the inside of the suede part. Really tough to see on this part. So I'm going to get this stitched up, and then we'll come back and glue the bottom part. Okay, so the top of the belt loop is stitched. That looks a little wampus there because that's where I put my knot in the thread, kind of flattened out. I used waxed artificial sinew, and there is the inside. So now we have to glue the little flat part down, and we're in place and glued. Kind of looks a little crooked, maybe not, just the way I'm holding it. Okay, when that's set, we will begin the stitching. Not looking too shabby. Alrighty, glue is dry, holes drilled. See them on that side? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, time to get her stitched. Alrighty, the back is done. It's a little wampus on the left side, kind of close to the edge, but oh well, it's handmade. And there's the back. So it will hold. So now on to the front. Contact cement is on. Just going to let it set for a few minutes, and then very, very, very carefully place it on, line it up, because once those edges meet, you're done. The end is near. Okay, we have our drill holes. back. Now, let's stitch up this hot mess and see how she looks. Okay, so the stitching is finished on the sheath. As you can see, it's only single stitched. And why? Because I didn't compensate or think about the inner suede lining, so it was pretty thick. Out of a package of 10 needles, I broke like 6 or 7 trying to do it, and you know what, it's just not worth it to go through all that hassle. I probably should have saddle stitched it, but I didn't. So this is it. Is it going to last forever? Absolutely not. But this is double stitched here, and on the inside is double stitched, and everything is glued. So now all I have to do is sand the edges because they're pretty rough. This is the first actual sheath of this type that I've made. So of course there's going to be flaws and errors, but that's what makes it unique. So what do? You adapt, improvise, overcome, and wait. That's from my favorite movie, Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood. Love that movie. So what I'm going to do is sand the edges, put some conditioner on it, and we're going to call it done. So that's it. So let's sand the edges and conditioner and be done. So the sheath project has come to an end. This is our final result. I took my Dremel and sanded down, there we are, the edges. I told you I'm having a bad camera day, as best as I could. The leather is not the best, so I didn't want to go overboard and really mung it up. So this is what we have. It is conditioned, and it's conditioned all the way around, obviously, and then the leather is a little bit more supple, and it's nice. It's still a little tacky. I think it came out pretty good. And let me grab my knife, and you can see the retention is about as good as it gets. That is not, did I make you dizzy? That is not going to go anywhere. That is in there, so there was no need to put a loop or a top on it. I think it came out pretty good. It'll last me for quite a while. I'm pretty happy with it. It could look a lot better, but it is what it is, and I think it came out pretty darn good. So I'm pretty pleased with it. My first one of this kind, and I like it. So it's really in there. As you can see, it's in there. That knife is not going to come out for nothing. I could stand on my head, and, well, if I could stand on my head, it's not going nowhere. So there's that sheath. Completion. Done. Finet. And while I was at it, I also made this, which was supposed to be a Scandinavian style sheath for my Mora Classic #2. I did put a patina on it earlier. But I think it came out pretty good. This is double stitched, and this is all sealed with a beeswax conditioning, kind of like a paste. I bought it at Dollar General, and this is what it is. It's 100% Australian beeswax made by Murray's. It does have a bit of a petroleum base, but it makes it water. This is actually a hair care product, believe it or not, and a great fire starter. But it's 100% Australian beeswax with a petroleum base, and it waterproofs leather really nice. And it looks great. I wanted to go for the distressed look on this a little bit, and kind of give it an old school style. So I think it came out pretty decent. I do plan on doing some work on this handle. I'm going to sand the red paint off the birch handle here and put some grooves on it so it's not as slippery and I can hang on to it a lot better. But yeah, I don't think it came out too bad. So there's some sheath work for you. I hope you enjoyed this little how to and how to not do it video. But I'm pretty happy with it all. So, hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, comments, please leave them below. And thanks for watching. Have a great night.